There is a silent, vicious cruelty in the human eye that society politely ignores, a biological calculation that happens in less than a second before you even open your mouth to speak. You have felt this shift in the atmosphere when you walk into a room and become invisible, watching lesser, foolish, and wicked men be handed the keys to the kingdom simply because they look like they belonged while you were left freezing at the gate. This is not bad luck. This is the brutal geometry of perception. Machiavelli warned us 500 years ago that the vulgar crowd is seduced entirely by appearances, and the world is populated chiefly by the vulgar. You must understand that to the human animal, poverty is not a number in a bank account. It is a frequency, a sense of weakness that triggers a predatory reflex in others, causing them to despise you not because you lack money, but because you look like a contagion of bad fortune. The human brain is lazy. It does not want to dig for the gold of your character. So when you dress for comfort or walk with an apology in your spine, you are handing the world a guilty verdict against yourself and screaming, "I have surrendered, so you should surrender on me too." But there is a way to hack this mechanism, a dark art of weaponizing your image to force the world to treat you with the reverence of a king, even if your pockets are empty. Yet to wear this mask, you must first understand the catastrophic signal you are broadcasting right now. Let us descend deeper. Let us examine the mammalian brain. Dominance hierarchies are not sociological inventions. They are biological mandates. Lobsters, wolves, primates, and men, we all scan for rank. What occurs when a predator spots prey that is limping? Does it feel compassion? Does it think, "Let me aid the struggling soul"? No, the limp triggers the kill sequence. Human civilization is merely a polite veneer over this dynamic. We do not tear throats with fangs. We tear them with litigation, with mockery, with ostracization, with insultingly low offers. When you look poor, you are limping. You are signaling that you are isolated. You are signaling that you lack the resources to retaliate. You are signaling that if someone harms you, no cavalry is coming. This is why the poor are over-policed, overtaxed, and underserved. They are low-risk targets. If a vendor defrauds a man in a tailored suit, he fears retribution. He fears that man has counsel. He fears that man has leverage. He fears that man can demolish his livelihood with a phone call. If a vendor defrauds a man in rags, he fears nothing. Who will listen to the beggar? Who cares? By looking poor, you unilaterally dismantle your deterrence. You make yourself safe to victimize. I have watched men of profound intellect be annihilated because they failed to grasp this. They believed their merit would shield them. They believed their loyalty would shield them, but they dressed like serfs, so they were treated like serfs. And when the axe fell, when the scapegoat was required, the finger pointed to the man who looked like he couldn't fight back. Appearance is armor. It is a psychological force field that induces hesitation in predators. Hesitation is all you require. In that split second where they wonder, who is this? Is he dangerous? Is he significant? In that second, you win. You dictate the frame. But if there is no hesitation, if they look at you and instantaneously see prey, the attack is a certainty. You might argue that this is unjust. You might argue that we should reside in a utopia where character is sovereign. You can argue with gravity as you plummet from a precipice. It will not break your fall. Machiavelli did not write about the world as it ought to be. He wrote about the world as it is. And in the world as it is, the man who neglects his armor is slaughtered. Who convinced you that aesthetics do not matter? Who convinced you that vanity is a vice? Who convinced you that modest attire is a badge of virtue? Usually it is the people who wish to keep you beneath them, or it is the people who have already capitulated. It's what's inside that counts is a sedative invented to comfort the invisible. It is a fabrication. Yes, character is essential for retention, but appearance is essential for access. Your interior is the product. Your exterior is the marketing. You can possess the greatest product in existence, a panacea for disease, a philosophical revelation, a billion-dollar code. If you wrap it in refuse, bury it in a landfill, and post a warning sign, no one will buy it. Marketing is not deception. Marketing is respect for the product. If you truly value your mind, if you truly value your soul, why would you house it in a temple that looks like a ruin? To dress poorly, to groom poorly, to carry yourself with the slouch of the conquered is an act of self-sabotage. And the world is a mirror. It reflects the esteem you demonstrate for yourself. If you treat yourself like a clearance item, the world will haggle with you. If you treat yourself like a rare artifact, the world will refrain from handling you with soiled hands. There is a metaphysical dimension to this. When you sharpen your exterior, you sharpen your psyche. The discipline of the outer shell bleeds into the core. Don a suit or merely a crisp iron shirt. Stand vertically, groom your hair. Observe how your cognition shifts. You become more intentional. You speak with more weight. You cease apologizing for occupying space. The mask becomes the face. This is the alchemy of the outlier. We do not wait to feel confident to look formidable. We look formidable to become confident. The pauper waits for the emotion. The sovereign constructs the emotion through action. You must cease viewing your appearance as a chore. It is a munition. It is a lever of influence. Every morning you are costuming for a role. You are casting yourself in the cinema of your existence. Are you the extra, the casualty, the comic relief? Or are you the protagonist, the architect, the danger? The wardrobe department is under your command. But so many of you are selecting the costume of the victim and then wondering why the script is a tragedy. It goes deeper than fabric. It is in the oculars. The poverty gaze is a look of perpetual apology. It is the habit of severing eye contact first. It is the habit of condensing yourself when you navigate a threshold. It is the habit of laughing nervously when someone disrespects you. These are the mannerisms of a vassal. You can drape a beggar in velvet, but if he retains the poverty gaze, he will still register as poor. You can clothe a king in burlap, but if he retains the royal gaze, the steady, unblinking assessment of his environment, he will look like a king in exile. Machiavelli notes that the lion does not need to roar to be respected. He simply needs to be present. When you look poor, you are often hyperkinetic. You explain too much, you smile too much. You attempt to placate. This is the behavior of scarcity. You are signaling that you require their validation to survive. Abundance is tranquil. Power is still. When you are comfortable with silence, you signal wealth. When you are comfortable expanding into space, you signal wealth. Everything works against the man who looks poor because his somatic language screams, "I am in error. I should not be here. Please absolve me." And the world replies, "You are correct. Depart." To shatter this cycle, you must drill the body before you can convince the mind. You must move with the velocity of a man who is not compensated by the hour. You must hold the gaze of others until they feel the burden of your judgment, not the reverse. You must execute the surf inside you. Because as long as that surf draws breath, no amount of currency will rescue you. You see lottery winners who dissolve into ruin within 3 years. It is because they never executed the surf. They purchased luxury, but they wore it with the apology of a thief. They looked poor in a Ferrari, and the world stripped them of it. And this brings us to the loudest frequency of poverty: noise. The poor man is loud. He is loud with his vocabulary, loud with his gestures, loud with his grievances. He feels the compulsion to suffocate every silence because silence induces anxiety. In silence, he fears he is being evaluated. So he chatters, he leaks his plans, he exposes his insecurities. He narrates his debts, his divorce, his sciatica. He hands you all the ammunition required to destroy him, and he calls it vulnerability. Power is silent. Observe the apex predator. The tiger does not announce its coordinates until it strikes. The CEO at the head of the table speaks the least. The Godfather whispers. When you over-communicate, you signal that your words hold no value. You are inflating the supply, crashing the demand. To never look poor, you must master the discipline of the sealed lip. When you are silent, you become a Rorschach test. People project their own fantasies onto you. They wonder, what is he calculating? Does he know something I do not? In that vacuum of data, they invent power for you. They assume you are judging them, and in their insecurity, they seek to impress you. This is the Machiavellian inversion. By saying nothing, you coerce them to perform for you, but the moment you begin whining about the price of fuel or your fatigue, the illusion shatters. You become mortal. You become common. You become one of us. And you do not want to be one of us. You want to be one of them. The outlier, the anomaly. This extends to your digital footprint. The man who broadcasts everything, his lunch, his outrage, his every fleeting synapse, looks spiritually destitute. He looks starved for validation. He is dancing for applause. The man who posts rarely, but with lethal intent, looks like he possesses a life too rich to be trapped on a screen. Scarcity generates value. Make your presence scarce. Make your words diamonds, rare, hard, and cutting. You might interject, I cannot afford a bespoke suit. I cannot afford the trappings of opulence. This is a failure of imagination. Looking poor is rarely about the label on your collar. It is about the maintenance of your reality. A man in a cheap shirt that is crisp, optical white, and perfectly tucked looks wealthier than a man in a four-figure designer hoodie that is stained and creased. Discipline is free. Polishing your leather costs time, not capital. Ironing your shirt costs effort, not capital. Keeping your fingernails surgical, your hair sharp, your physique lean, these are investments of will. When you are unkempt, you signal entropy. You signal that you cannot contain the chaos of your own life. And if you cannot control your own entropy, how can you control an enterprise? How can you lead men? The wealthy look sterile. That is the secret. It is a specific genre of hygiene that signals they are insulated from the grime of the struggle. The poor look dusty. They look eroded by the friction of survival. You must scrub the dust off your avatar. It is in the micro details, the heels of your boots, the stiffness of your collar, the glass of your phone. Is it shattered? A cracked screen is a screaming siren of poverty. It says, I broke this and I lack the surplus to repair it, so I tolerate brokenness. Do not tolerate brokenness. It corrodes your psyche. It instructs your subconscious that you deserve debris. Repair it or conceal it, but do not parade it. Machiavelli taught that the prince must appear compassionate, faithful, humane, upright, and religious. Note the verb appear. You must curate the artifacts of your existence. If you drive a rusted vessel, park it blocks away. Walk the final distance. Arrive on foot, spine erect. Control the narrative. This is not deceit. This is framing. A cinematographer frames a shot to exclude the dumpster in the alley. You are the director of your own image. Crop out the refuse. If you invite a potential ally to dine, do not take them to a venue you cannot afford and then perspire over the check. That is the stench of poverty. Take them to a cafe. Purchase 2 black coffees, but consume them with the leisure of monarchs. Focus on the dialogue. Pay the meager sum with a smile. It is better to be the lord of a small domain than the servant of a large one. There is a final component to the aesthetic of poverty that is the most difficult to swallow: the company you keep. If you are encircled by men who look defeated, who speak the dialect of victimhood, who dress in the uniform of failure, you are painted with the same brush. You are the aggregate of the 5 people you are seen with. If you walk into a room with a pack of scavengers, no one will mistake you for a lion. This is cruel, I acknowledge that. You have friends you cherish. You have loyalty to your history. But if you wish to ascend, you must comprehend optics. When you are seen with the victorious, the halo effect transfers to you. You borrow their credibility. This is why social climbers claw to be in the photograph. They know that the image is the asset. You do not have to abandon your old companions, but you must compartmentalize. When you are on the battlefield of commerce, you must march with other warriors. If you bring a court jester to the war room, you will not be respected. Machiavelli warned that a prince is judged by the caliber of the ministers he keeps around him. If they are capable and loyal, he is deemed wise. If they are fools, he is deemed a fool. Audit your perimeter. Who makes you look like a commander? Who makes you look like a participant in a tragedy? Distance yourself from the visual drag, because the world assumes that birds of a feather flock together. If your flock looks impoverished, this requires a calcification of the heart. But remember the objective. The objective is not to be pleasant. The objective is to be effective. To never look poor is to curate your entire ecosystem. Your attire, your vocabulary, your physiology, your associates. It is total war on perception. Now the paradox. When you execute this, when you meticulously excise every signal of poverty from your existence, something bizarre occurs. You cease to be poor. It is not sorcery, it is mechanics. When you dress with authority, you are treated with deference. When you are treated with deference, you are granted access. When you are granted access, you acquire resources. The mask summons the face. You begin to believe your own propaganda. You look in the mirror and you do not see a casualty. You see a contender. And because you see a contender, you operate like one. You take risks. You negotiate with leverage. You walk away from insult. You have hacked your own serotonin hierarchy. This is the ultimate secret. The fabricated exterior reconstructs the authentic interior. By refusing to look poor, you reject the identity of poverty. You reject the script that says you are fated to struggle. You declare physically and visually that you are fated for empire. And the world, which is starved for leadership, starved for strength, starved for anything that resembles a sure bet, the world bows. It unlocks the doors it kept bolted. It offers the smiles it withheld. Machiavelli was correct. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. So grant them a vision of greatness. Blind them with the image of who you are becoming. Do not wait for the gold to arrive to polish the crown. Wear the crown now. The gold will follow the king. But if you remain in the rags waiting for permission to evolve, you will be buried in them. The choice is yours. The judgment is approaching. It arrives every day, every second, from every pair of eyes that lands upon you. Will they see a victim or will they see a master? You now comprehend the law, but comprehension is merely the prelude. Execution is the abyss where most men perish. There are specific methodologies to manipulate perception that are too volatile to share on this open frequency. There are psychological triggers that can force a giant to kneel and make a pauper appear as a prince. If this opened your eyes, understand this is only what I can display in the light. There are transmissions I cannot upload for the masses. There are facets of dark psychology that I simply cannot discuss publicly on this platform without being silenced or demonetized. The algorithm suppresses the most potent intelligence. Those secrets exist behind the join button. If you are still here, you are not like the herd. Subscribe if you haven't. But if you desire what is concealed, click the join button and step into the architect level. You will unlock exclusive, uncensored briefings that dive into the deepest recesses of the human psyche. Most won't. That is the point.